What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Chico de Manuel Show. Um, I'm going to warn you in advance between this What Needs to Go Now segment and the next segment, or just particularly this episode, it could get pretty redundant. And what needs to go today and what has needed to go for quite some time is Dylan Mulvaney. Yes, Dylan Mulvaney. We're going to talk about Dylan Mulvaney here, and then we're going to talk about Dylan Mulvaney in the next segment because this motherfucker is just awful. This motherfucker is completely awful. Like, seriously. Like, if there's anybody who has rode this trans activist wave to the fullest, and not only that, not only have they rode this wave to the fullest, but as JT from Odin's Man like to call him, Dilly, excuse me, he's made hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of dollars off of this. He's got millions of subscribers and followers, liked and admired in shit almost ubiquitously with a far reach, has a very far reach, and not only is it damaging enough when these people make stupid ass statements, when they promote leftism, when they, for lack of a better term, exist, like when they're just here and they're making noise within our vicinity that our senses have to process and all that. Like this, I don't know. But the motherfuckers got a lot of power. And recently, I guess Lady Gaga has come to defend Dylan Mulvaney against hate comments. And who is this courtesy of? Which browser is that? That's this one. Yeah. This is courtesy of what the fuck even is this? E News. Okay, so yeah, it's courtesy of E News. Yeah, Lady Gaga defended TikToker and trans activist Dylan Mulvaney after the two appeared in a photo shoot in celebration of International Women's Day. Quote, "This kind of hatred is violence." See, now this is something the left likes to do a lot. This is something people who don't like being called out on obviously wrong things like to do. They like to, say like this hatred is violence. Now what the fuck does that mean? So, you know what? I'm about to do something I really like to do here. Something I've probably done before with this precise word, but we're gonna look up uh what the fuck is violence. So we're on Google right here, as you can see. We're gonna look up the definition of violence. Blow it up here, make sure it can be seen. Oh, we got something right here. Violence is the use of physical force to cause harm to people, animals, or property, such as pain, injury, death, damage, or destruction. Violence. Let's play it so we can hear what that word is.
Violence.
Violence. Strength of emotion or an unpleasant or destructive natural force. Behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. The unlawful exercise of physical force or intimidation by the exhibition of such force. So when whoever, Lady Gaga or Dylan Mulvaney, says this kind of hatred is violence, so this kind of hatred is behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill something or something. Well, hatred is violence. Hatred leads to violence. You could probably say that. The unlawful exercise of physical force. So hatred is unlawful exercise of physical force. Yeah, see, the difference between hatred and violence is the physicality aspect. Let's look up the definition of hatred. Intense dislike or ill will. Now, what's violent about that? What's violence about ill will? Ill will is like, yeah, I hope you get hit by a car or something. I hope you fucking stub your toe and you get hammer toe or some shit like that, or I hope you break your leg skiing or some shit like that. That's ill will. That's what that is. What ill will is not is violence. An intense dislike is not violence. And it doesn't matter how you try to parse it, like that's not violence. So let's read this stupid shit. Boom, boom, boom. Blow up on the words here. Try to get a line. So what's the first sentence of this garbage? There we go. Don't be a drag. Be an ally. So what do you mean? Don't be a drag? Like don't be a drag queen? If that's the case, yes, I would agree with that. Don't be a drag queen. If it's up to you, which it certainly is. That's the message Lady Gaga is spreading after Dylan Mulvaney was met with what the singer described as vitriol for posting pictures of the two of them together in honor of International Women's Day. Calling out the appalling negativity against the trans activists, Gaga wrote that this kind of hatred is violence. Okay, Gaga. Well, if you got something you described as vitriol for posting pictures of the two, see what's strange. Lady Gaga is a woman. Like Lady Gaga is an actual woman. She was born with female reproductive organs. She meets the what once used to be the universally understood standard of being a woman when it wasn't something that you felt. It was something that was biologically and objectively so. So, like, as a woman, like, on International Women's Day, when you affiliate with this motherfucker, what do you expect to get? Dylan Mulvaney is not a woman. Dylan Mulvaney, if you want to support, I don't have a problem with International Women's Day. Sure, go ahead, do it. I'm not fundamentally opposed to International Women's Day at all. I don't care. More power to you. What I am opposed to is masquerading Dylan Mulvaney as like he falls under the umbrella of Women's Day. He's not a woman. He's a man. It's not misgendering to call Dylan Mulvaney a man because his appropriate gender is a man. Dylan Mulvaney has a penis. If he doesn't have a penis, he has every other physical feature that a fucking man has. And we'll see that later on in this article because they got a picture of the two of them standing next together. And he just looks like a fucking skinny, he like a twink. He looks like a fucking twink that's just dolled up. Not attractive, not feminine, not passable whatsoever. And before I forget, like, what the fuck is this whole, like, hate? They say it kind of met with hate. Like, how come somebody just can't have somebody can't just disagree with you without it being considered hate? Like, you're not a woman. You're not a woman. You shouldn't be a part of this to the degree that you are. Oh, that's hate. That's hate. And hate's tantamount to violence because we said it is. No. Trust me, there's a lot of things I hate that I haven't had the opportunity to get violent with. And if you had the opportunity to pick between my hatred and my violence, you'd pick my hatred. But I can hate you all day. That doesn't necessarily have to impact your life. But if I inflict violence upon you, you're going to be fucked up. Continue, quote, but it is not surprising given the immense work that is obvious that we still have to do as a society to make room for transgender lives to be cherished and upheld by all of us. The 37-year-old penned in a March 11th Instagram post. I feel very protective in this moment, not only of Dylan, but of the trans community who continues to lead the way with their endless grace and inspiration in the face of constant degradation, intolerance, physical, verbal, and mental violence. What the fuck is verbal and mental violence? Like, I think violence is inherently physical. The only time it's not is if you're using it to describe something like a violent thunderstorm, And even still, a violent thunderstorm has the potential to cause physical harm. So, like, you could consider getting struck by lightning a violent act, even though it didn't come from another human, another life form. But mental violence? What the fuck is mental violence? Like, if I think about beating your ass, is that, like, what is that? Constant degradation and intolerance? Yeah, that's because you're intolerable. You're insufferable. The fact that we have to participate to whatever degree in the charade, which is your life, because you're confused or you wish to live your life aligned along a thread of reality that does not value objective truth, and you keep trying to drag us in here. You keep trying to whirlpool us in and get us into the part of the whirlpool that's like at the highest RPM and like down at the bottom. You're trying to like drag water from over here so you can get it caught up in this. No. While Gaga acknowledges that she does not speak for the trans community, She noted that, quote, people of all gender identities and races deserve peace and dignity. Well, if you don't speak for the trans community, that sure looks like that's what the fuck you're doing when you stand with Dylan Mulvaney is trans, isn't he? Like motherfuckers even refer to Dylan Mulvaney as her for some reason. So like, isn't Dylan Mulvaney trans? So if you're gonna speak up for the hatred, aka violence, that Dylan Mulvaney is experiencing, then Dylan Mulvaney is clearly a beacon of the trans community. Like, what do you mean you don't speak for the trans community? You just made a statement defending them. How do you speak for them without speaking for them? Quote, I hope all women will come together to honor us all for International Women's Day. And may we always do that, and may we do that always until the day that all women are celebrated equally. Sure, celebrate all women equally, which means not fucking Dylan Mulvaney. If you're going to celebrate all women equally, you're going to celebrate me as a part of that? If you're celebrating women, you going to pull me in that mix? No, why wouldn't you? Because I'm not a fucking woman. Gaga added, may we all come together, be loving and accepting, warm, welcoming, blah, 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 blah. If y'all stand in honor the complexity and challenge of trans life that we do not know, but conceive, understand, and have compassion for. Okay, here's the photo. Now, if you just let's start with the faces. Like, if you just and let's fucking full screen it. Okay, so as you can see here, we got both of them on screen. And let me get myself out of the way. Now, look at this. Does this motherfucker on the right look like you gonna tell me like that's a woman? Motherfuckers had surgery, completely buried in makeup. What is this hairstyle? Like mom's spaghetti? The fuck is this? You look ridiculous. Look at this body. Look at these shoulders. Look at that collarbone. Look at that stretchy neck. Is that why you wearing these like chokers to try to kind of distract? Like you wearing a tube top, no breasts. Like look at this. Look at these arms. Look at these contours in these arms. You gonna say that's a woman and then juxtapose it with this? Look at Lady Gaga. Look at her face. Look at her eye. Clearly feminine. Look at the hairstyle. Hell of a lot better. Look at the body shape. Actual breasts. For one, we got actual breasts. Look at the shoulders. Look at those shoulders. Look at these shoulders. What do you seriously? I guess everything I'm saying is violent hate, right? Like look at the body shape. You see how the like underneath her bust, her ribs, like how the body starts to come in. Where's that there? Look at them fucking arms. You all sinewy and emaciated. Like you look disgusting. The fuck? Seriously, like where is the comparison here? Like if we're celebrating National Women's Day or whatever, how the fuck does hold on? How the fuck do we end up here? If this is supposed to be celebrating International Women's Day and all the fine and wonderful things that women have done to get to where they are today, how the fuck do we end up here? Make it make sense, please. Anyway, let's finish up. A meeting with Gaga has long since been on Dylan's vision board. Yeah, vision board. Uh, hang on. Yep. As seen in the video Dylan posted on March 8th, she told the A Star Is Born actress that her bucket list item was finally fulfilled after appearing in a photo shoot together. And I was wrong. This photo isn't them standing next to each other. This is just them juxtaposed. Like they're not physically next to one another. I haven't seen that picture. Don't want to see it. Really? I'll put you on my vision board for life, Gaga told the content creator who started documenting her transition. Blah, blah, blah. We love you. So how does Dylan deal with transphobic remarks? Her. His solution is simple. Not reading the comments or Googling my name. I now have a sort of way of making sure that I see the good people and I get to interact with them. And yes, just kind of skimming past the bad. Yeah, you skim past the bad because like the truth fucking hurts. Like the truth is you are not a woman. The celebrations that happen on International Women's Day, I mean, you can support it, but it's not for you. Not for any kind of discriminatory reason, not because anybody likes you, doesn't like you, because it's just you're not a woman. You are not a woman. And Dylan Mulvaney is long since needed to go, since days of girlhood. Like, find me one female who documents every day of her life that she's been a woman. That means if every woman alive were to do that, that means we would have billions of days of girlhood, and it would be a banal kind of thing. Like it wouldn't even be that fucking big of a deal. Like if a bunch of women just start saying, okay, so this is day 3,792 of girlhood, haha. Okay, so you're 10 fucking years old. Well, how about you grow up first? Who cares about your girlhood? The only reason anybody cares about that girlhood shit is because it's another manipulative tool to try to foster this narrative that men can be women and women can be men. Newsflash, they fucking can't. Even if you dress up, even if you look the part, even if you learn how to switch and walk in heels and all that shit, you can pretend, you can look and behave like a woman. Fuck, you can look and behave like a jaguar if you wanted to. Doesn't make you one. You can look and behave like a football player. Doesn't make you one. You can look and behave like a librarian. Doesn't make you one. The only thing that makes you something biologically is being brought into the world that way. So, sorry, Dylan Mulvaney. On International Women's Day, on Veterans Day, on any fucking day, you're never going to be a woman and you need to go. Bye-bye. Let's get to the fucking show. All right. Ironically enough, I know I just said Dylan Mulvaney needs to go, but since we're going to be talking about Bud Light and how Dylan Mulvaney absolutely fucking ruined that brand, like completely, like Bud Light's dead. Bud Light is fucking finished. Like Bud Light plummeted so. Bud Light was the most standard beer that anybody. First of all, it's a shitty product. Like I used to tell people when I used to go out to bars and drink and shit. Like if you want friends, don't buy friends Bud Light. If you want to maintain your friend, buy me a Miller Lite, buy me a Coors, fuck, buy me PBR. I would rather take a Smoker's Choice cigarette than receive 100 cans of Bud Light or a lifetime supply of Bud Light. Like, I won't even drink it just as a kind gesture. Like, if you go to somebody's house and they cook food, you might not be hungry, but you eat just to not be rude. If somebody was like, hey, you want a beer? Sure. And they toss me a Bud Light, that's the end of that interaction. That's the end of that friendship. We're done. And not just because Dylan Mulvaney, because it's a shitty beer. And even with it being that shitty beer, it kind of dominated the beer market for a long time until they decided to partner up with this confused individual. Bud Light was shitting on things. Not anymore. But, hang on. There's a caveat here. Dylan Mulvaney has a solution to the Bud Light problem. Don't believe me? Well, let's look at this article. See, it says it right here. Dylan Mulvaney has a solution to the Bud Light boycott. Now, the biggest solution, the most simplest, obvious solution would be to apologize publicly. And I am not, if you watch this show, you already know how I feel about apologies and shit. But this is an instance where you need to fucking apologize, even if you don't mean it. This is one where it's like if motherfuckers are just making you, yeah, it's because you fucked up. Yeah, you should say I'm sorry if you say nothing else. Because you fucked up bad. You fucked up real bad fucking with Dylan Mulvaney. Nike, who was it? Some other motherfuckers got this motherfucker advertising women's clothes, all sinewy and built masculine. Like, no. But if Bud Light isn't willing to apologize, let's delve into this article and see what kind of brilliant insight the person who ruined this shit has to get it back going again. Bud Light's short-lived partnership with Dylan Mulvaney did not go well. When the beer brand began working with the transgender social media influencer, it was a low-key effort to expand Bud Light's reach into the LGBTQ community. It wasn't a massive partnership with TV commercials. It was a traditional influencer deal where the star shares a product on social media. Okay. So that's true. But yeah. I'm gonna read this and then we're gonna pull up the shit where this motherfucker was in the bathtub blowing bubbles, doing things he think women do, which like they don't. But yeah, Bud Light sent Mulvaney cans of his famed beer with his face on them to celebrate his first year living as a woman. which is not real. The beer brand did not sell those cans or do anything to promote Mulvaney. What do you mean? Okay, they didn't sell the cans. What do you mean they didn't do anything to promote Mulvaney? Like, it worked hand in hand. You might not have been trying to promote him directly, but he's promoting you. You're promoting him. It's a partnership. The fuck are you talking about? So real quick, I'm about to jump over to YouTube real fast and see if I can see if we can find this shit. I'm pretty sure it's on there. How the fuck could it not be? But it's a pretty bizarre sight. See this motherfucker like in the bathtub, like talking about acting like he don't really know shit about sports and all this and that, and oh my god, blah blah blah, such such. Well, we scored a football point. Oh, he he he. So hang on. Yep, Bud Light commercial fool. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. All right. Which one do I bring? I'll bring up this one. Yep, he caught a little. Oh no. Okay, that was the one after they. Yeah, I'll show you that too. Shit was hilarious. Shit was hilarious. All right, so this is the beer commercial original, if you want to call it a commercial. Um, yeah, let's just see for yourself. Oops, hang on. Bang, there we go.
Hi! Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us. So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way, it's a cause to celebrate. This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too. Love ya!
Dude, like look at that. Look at that smile and that face. For one, who the fuck smiles like that? Like, you look strange. You look deranged. You don't even look all there. You don't look rap tight at all. I guess there's more. Hang on.
Cheers! Go team! Whatever team you love, I love too. Okay. Love ya. Okay, break a leg.
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute before we get to the solution because I want to make sure that you have an appropriate amount of contempt for this individual like I do. So let's do we get the bathtub? Can we find that? Bud Light. Yeah, bathtub. Yup, full bathtub. Oh my god. Oh dear lord. All right. Dude, it's been a while since I've seen this shit because I really don't enjoy viewing it. But for fuck's sake. Oh, hang on. No. Don't you dare. Sit your ass still. Okay. Here we go. I'm not even gonna pop in with my reaction until this. I'm lying. I might. But let's just go ahead here. Woman light.
Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that to you again. But you see what I'm getting at, right? This guy is fucking unhinged, walking around parading, talking about you're a woman in the bathtub, doing all this shit. What the hell is all of that, bro? Okay, so now that you probably can't stand them as much as I can't stand them, let's continue on with this fucking article here. Yeah, so mm-hmm. It did not go well. I don't think I read that part. Whatever. All that happened is all that happened was Mulvaney talked about Bud Light on their social media feeds and showed off the cans to their followers. And yeah, they're non-binary because I don't consider this motherfucker a man either. Like, it's one thing to be in that shit, give it up, do it privately, still, whatever. But no, it was a tiny promotion that led to one of the most successful boycotts of all time. You can largely blame or thank Kid Rock for bringing attention to Bud Light's partnership with Mulvaney. The singer, who has deep ties to former President Donald Trump and right-wing politics, shared a video on social media of himself shooting up cans of Bud Light. That seemed like a pretty lame stunt, but it led Rock's fans and right-leaning beer drinkers to boycott Bud Light. Usually, boycotts are not effective because the products are somewhat irreplaceable. Left-leaning people, for example, may not like the stance Chick-fil-A's owners have taken on LGBTQ issues, but they set that aside for a really good chicken sandwich. Bud Light, however, is not very different from any other light beer, and the boycott costed about 26% of its sales on a long-term basis. Well, to say that it's not different from any other light beer is completely preposterous. It's different from every other light beers, and it's fucking piss water. It sucks. Light beer is already beer with most of the flavor bred out to lower calories and all that shit. But Bud Light, it's all drinkability, no flavor whatsoever. Like, it's like technically beer. But you can't be sure, like, a bunch of alcoholics, they didn't just can like alcoholic piss. Like a bunch of alcoholics, they just got them, they just constantly just shoving beer down their throats, and then when they piss it out, they piss them out into beer cans and repackage them for you to drink. And a 26% sales on his long-term basis. I'm not no business major, but that's fucking significant. So now, after all this ranting and raving and whatnot, let's see what the bold Bud Light idea is, whatever the fuck that could possibly be. Mulvaney has been critical of Anheuser-Busch InBev for not supporting them once the boycott happened. That's a fair criticism. The beer brand did nothing to stand up for him or its association with him. He has not, however, had anything to say about the brand after an initial flurry of comments. That made it surprising that he recently addressed the brand. As a social media influencer, Mulvaney has proved that he can reach an audience. He is not, however, a marketing expert, which becomes clear when you see the idea he proposed at a South by Southwest panel. Quote, I think humor can be very healing, and I think it can appeal to both sides, Mulvaney said during a panel titled When Beer Goes Viral at South by Southwest. Mulvaney revealed that he pitched a Western commercial to Bud Light where a cowboy and a trans person share a beer, but the company didn't reach out. He also called for Anheuser-Busch InBev and companies in general to stand up against bullying. I think of Bud Light kind of like a parent, where the parent doesn't put a stop to something, then the bullying can continue. So your solution is a commercial with a regular person and a trans person having a beer together? Okay, first of all, bringing you into the mix cost them 26% of sales. They stock plummeted. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars fucking with you. So why would they want to fuck with more of you in a different flavor? Now, I mentioned I was going to show this too. Let me see. Is there anything? Yeah, I'm not going to put you through all this other Dylan Mulvaney shit. If you want to go see this motherfucker parading around as a pretend woman, you just hop on YouTube and look at that shit yourself. I'm trying to find the ad that they made afterwards to try to pull back after this shit happened. I think this is it. Yeah, Budweiser pivots. Yep, they definitely pivoted. Now you saw the shit with Mulvaney blowing bubbles in the tub and all this shit. Stop playing the audio. Let me tell
you a story.
No, don't do that. You wait till I tell you to tell them the story. But yeah, we'll play that in there. This one's gonna probably run a little while, whatever. But here it is. I gotta swap it over real quick. Bang. Now this is after they got the backlash. Like, they did the shit. They got the backlash, and Bud Light was freaking the fuck out. They're like, okay, how do we get some of our customers back without apologizing for this heinous shit? And this is what they came up with.
Let me tell you a story. about a beer rooted in the heart of America.
This morning, it's the new Budweiser ad campaign that Anheuser-Busch hopes will help the company ride out a boycott. It features the nostalgia of an iconic Clydesdale.
Okay, let me see if I can find one without this fucking guy. You see what? I'll just play it,
Galloping
but
through
I'll
all
mute it and I'll just narrate it. So, because I don't know where the fuck that guy came from talking. He kind of fucked it up. You can't really hear what they saying, but it's basically just some old pseudo-American voiceover. As you can see, they got the fucking Clydesdale horse trotting around and shit. They got these two, standard blue-collar looking motherfuckers standing on this big white picket porch. And, he hands one of them a beer. They cut back away to this horse trotting along the beach, to display its American values. And then we're back to Dylan Mulvaney. Okay, so, yeah. That was what was supposed to, get you back on board. A couple horses running around and shit. That's supposed to remind you that Bud Light is worth your time and energy, and it's not a fucking pissy river beer that should be fucking dumped into whatever ocean India and China dump all their garbage in, because quite frankly, it would be indistinguishable. So, it says Bud Light is not recovered. Sales have been dragged down. Revenues declined by 9.5%. Volumes down by 12.7%, primarily due to the volume decline of Bud Light. Market share continued to improve gradually from May through the most recent weeks. Market share was 38.3%. 2023 was a challenging year for their business. Company has chosen to address the issue by returning the brand to its traditional marketing messages. We expanded our long-standing partnership with Folds of Honor, including bringing the NFL and Bud Light together to also support first responders. We continue to invest in our mega brands and mega platforms such as sports and music that all consumers love, including the NFL, NBA, Lollapalooza, as well as new investments with the VMAs, UFC, Copa America, and Team USA for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. Bud Light also became UFC's largest sponsor, a move that led both to Kid Rock and Donald Trump forgiving the brand for partnering with Mulvaney. Now, I don't forgive. One, Bud Light's a shitty product, so if we're not going to forgive Bud Light for being a shitty beer, we shouldn't forgive it for partnering with Dylan Mulvaney, especially if they're not going to issue a very public and specific apology. This is one of those times where, you have to be petty. We need that apology. If you want to ever reclaim the kind of grace that Bud Light used to have before its fatal decision to partner with Dylan Mulvaney, and who else did it? Like Nike or Under Armour or some shit, having them insulting women by using him as the model, as the mannequin per se, as what these clothes should look like on a female. Unless you're willing to walk back on that and admit that it was an egregious gaffe that doesn't represent the interest or beliefs of the company at all, and it was just a PR stunt that you thought was going to work out in your favor, but newsflash, it fucking didn't. Unless you're willing to do that, then there is no forgiveness. And Bud Light was already with the UFC way long ago, before Reebok took over and changed uniforms and all that shit. Bud Light used to be in the center of the octagon before they went with Monster and shit. It was always there. So them trying to get back with the UFC, even when the UFC did LGBTQ shit, they had one day, they let a motherfucker come out there in some rainbow trunks. The next event, that shit was history. Catch up on you next year. But unless Bud Light is willing to backpedal on this shit fully, admit to the world that they fucked up tremendously, there is no forgiveness. They need to suffer. Other companies that have tried to do this shit, Target, they went down the same path. But Target, just like they said, some things are a little bit irreplaceable. Target is one of those things that's irreplaceable, even though it could get other, maybe like fucking Walmart or whatever the fuck can continue to grow and eventually blow Target out of the water. Unlikely, but that would be what would have to happen to Target because of the role Target plays in just American in consumer culture and society and all that. So Target just couldn't, you could hurt them, but you couldn't kill them. Bud Light needs to die forever. Unless they're willing to say, you know what, we fucked up. We shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have promoted this message. And we're going to stick to what the fuck works, what our consumers want, what our consumers believe in going forward. Unless they're willing to say that, fuck Bud Light. Period. All right, let's keep this ball rolling. So I'm already hip that once I get into explaining this, it's gonna become a big fucking semantics melee of like, all these acutely and minutely different definitions of how one decides to interpret everything, perspective and the like, all that shit. But courtesy of USA Today, which is a reputable wellspring of reliable information, girls make great leaders. So why do we often tell them not to lead? So I guess one of my questions would be who exactly is telling women not to lead? Who? I don't think if it is somebody telling women not to lead, it's because we've already got leaders. Or leading is not your strong suit. Like all women can't be leaders. It's like all men can't be leaders. There's lots of weak, unfit men who could never handle anything resembling responsibility in its simplest and most remedial form. Like so like I don't think anybody's telling women not to lead in the sense like you're not capable. But like I honestly think most women don't want to lead. Like there's always some exception carved out for like the women who can handle that kind of shit, and it's like they're far and few between. They're like unicorns. Women, in my opinion, generally don't want to lead because that's just what they want to do. I think women have been sold this idea that for one, happiness is paramount over everything, and right next to that happiness is their independence. So like when men get independence, it's like from the world. Like when a man digs his fucking heels in the ground, fights adversity, comes out on top, whether it be a business, whether it be with his family, whether it be with his own discovery of himself and figuring out where he stands, his morals as a man and all that shit. When a man figures that out and it manifests into something, he gains his independence from the world. He can impose his vision, his morals, his beliefs and whatnot onto the world. When women gain their independence, they gain it from men. When you hear a woman say, "I pay my own bill," blah blah blah, woo woo woo, what's the suffix that ends all that shit? We don't need no man. Why should I need a man? Even at this little restaurant, I'm not gonna say the restaurant. Probably not gonna keep working there. I got hired there, but just too many fucking. It's just there are no men in this space. It's just all women, just women leadership. Women is, and the men just want to be all up in the cook in the kitchen, buried behind stoves and ovens and shit. For what reason, I don't know. I really don't understand. Like the serving industry needs men like fucking a year ago. But like they just wanted to like you make it seem like I need a man. Like I'm not making it seem like anything. This one girl said she's 19. She's been dating a guy for 2 years. Mom loves her, blah blah blah, all this and that. Like she doesn't want to get married until she's 25. Okay, why 25? I don't know. It just seemed like 21 too young to get married. Well, if you've been with the nigga for 4, you 19. When you be 21 and you still with the nigga, you'll be with him for 4 years. What the fuck are you waiting on? Why do you need to wait till you're 25? You just want to wait till you're 25 because 21 is too young to get married? Okay, so we can establish that 21 is too young to get married. Why is 25 just right? What's so just right about 25? You got a whole phase you need to go through or something? Like, what's the delay? You claim you love him. You show me your phone. It's just laden with rows and columns consecutively of just pictures of you and him, blah, 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 blah. This little smooth-faced whippersnapper ass nigga buying you Pandora bracelets and jewelry or whatever the fuck, all this little shit. Man, let me would have had a couple. Let me would have had like 100 racks in the bank, or just been in a different situation. Like, bitch, you'd have forgot about that. I would have bought you from him, and that would have been the reason why you wait until you're 25 to get married or whatever. Like, first of all, you don't really want to get married. You don't understand why marriage means nothing to you on its own. Like the shit that made your parents and the previous generations get married. That concept has never graced the front screen in your mind. You just still over here like, no, I don't know. I don't feel like my head ain't right. Just, you don't know why you should even get married. That's why you can't tell me why you're waiting. You're just getting married because somebody told you to, or you're looking at Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla and all this shit, and look at all the shit they do, and you want it too. But it's like they're not living your life. All these women selling you this whole feminist narrative are not living your life. These are not normal people. They are rich, wealthy, notable celebrities. You are a fucking nobody. You are a cockroach in the grand scheme of this life. And they're well known. And you want to be like them, but then when a motherfucker brings you to reality and tells you you can't be like them, now they're haters and blah, blah, blah. You strong, independent, don't need no man, blah, 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 blah. Ain't nobody telling you not to lead. You don't want to lead. When you lead, you're unhappy and miserable. That's what that is. But let me get off my soapbox. Let's get to the fucking article. Girl power tells girls they can do and be anything. It's an important message, but it overlooks the ugly truth that the world is still stacked against them. To equip girls to lead, we have to get real with them about what stands in their way. Girls are growing up in a culture that tells them boys and men are more important. Progress on gender equality has stalled in many places around the world. In the United States, women remain underrepresented in senior leadership in almost every industry, despite earning more bachelor's degrees than men for 4 decades. Now, I'm not going to delve off into the whole gender pay gap. We're not going to do all that. But girls can do and be anything, especially in today's, society. In Western society, yeah, you sure can. And girls are growing up in a culture that tells them boys and men are unimportant. That's markedly false. That's just not true. All women value nowadays is which vacation they can go on, how many tens of thousands of K a month they OnlyFans can generate, and broke men need not even reach out to them. So what about that suggests that men are more important? What's more important to these women is spending $700 a week on eyelashes and shit, fucking putting a booty hole on the internet and saying marriage is a meaningless proposal, even though it benefits them to the gills. Like, what you mean? Just marry the nigga for 2 years, then divorce him and take half his shit. Then you a strong, independent, bad bitch. Like, why not? It's 2 years. 2 years of pretending you like sucking a nigga's dick, or 2 years of pretending you believe in a nigga dreams, for 2 years of making that nigga think he's important until you ruin him. It's a good gig. What are you opposed to it for? There is no culture telling them that boys and men are more important. That's just false. Let's just get that shit straight right there. The Equal Pay Act became law in 1963, but women, particularly women of color, are still paid less than men for similar work. Our culture signals to girls that how they look is more important than what they're capable of doing. Girls often face pushback when they try to lead or stand up for themselves and others. What? Who's signaling to girls that how they look is more important than what they're capable of doing? Simps, beta males, who are more than willing to spend $5.99 a month to get a fucking endless slew of pictures of a girl's tits, ass, coochie, and booty hole, or having her fucking riding her bedpost, or like fucking strapping her legs underneath her armpits or some shit and trying to play like Twister like that or some shit, or doing some benign ass task like cooking eggs. Like, hello, my name's Brittany. We're gonna do my cooking eggs tutorial. Now she's in the kitchen with her titties out. Okay, so the first thing you do is you crack the eggs. It's like, bitch, this ain't about no eggs. The fuck out of here, man. That's what tells girls that how they look is more important than what they're capable of doing, because all they want to do is fucking be lewd. Many girls' confidence declines as they progress in school. Now, why is that? It's no wonder that a third of girls say that they're afraid to be a leader because they don't want people to think they are bossy. And by the time they're in high school, 46% of girls don't think they're smart enough for their dream career. How? There's more girls in school than ever. Like, if anything, you're now competing more against women in academia than you are anything else. Like, what do you mean you don't think you're smart enough for your dream career? And if that is the case, that's your problem. Like, if you don't think you're smart enough, then you're not. Girls see and feel this inequity, and ignoring it doesn't help. Real talk does. Raising the awareness is a challenge that girls face can be protective and empowering. Well, also, according to a lot of women, you know what else is empowering? A monthly subscription to their bodies naked. So many women who still do OnlyFans or used to do OnlyFans, they talk about it's empowering to walk up the street shirtless because a guy can do it. And they act like they're not supposed to get any adverse reaction to that shit. That's what they consider empowering. What the hell is this? Women in leadership. Yeah, we're not gonna watch that. When girls know how to identify and push back against unfair treatment, they are more likely to reframe stereotypical message and less likely to blame themselves when they experience bias. Getting real with our girls helps give them the strength to overcome the tough spots that lie ahead. Now, see, I agree with the statement. Like, if you know how to identify and push back against unfair treatment, then you're more likely to reframe stereotypical and less likely to blame yourself. I didn't say less likely. Less likely to blame themselves when they experience bias. Fair enough. But what's unfair treatment? What's unfair? Let a woman tell it every goddamn thing is unfair. I think it's unfair that it'll be a pay gap if I get on OnlyFans and start putting pictures of my asshole on the internet. You think I'm gonna drop $40K a month? You think people want to look at my hairy ass and they're gonna finance my life as a result, to where you can quit your job as a barista or whatever the fuck it is you're doing and be a full-time internet whore? You know where's my how do I identify and push back against that treatment? Should I start a campaign and say like just like how these trans women say, like, if you don't like them, that's transphobia. If you're a man who's not into men dressed as women, that's transphobia. Well, if you're a person that's not into my asshole on film, on photo, that's unfair treatment. How do I identify and push back against that? You mean it's not unfair? Why isn't it unfair? Because it's all stupid. We need to clear a path for girls to lead. That requires remodeling our traditional understanding of leadership, which tend to reward command and control. Girls don't identify with this hypermasculine view of leadership. Girls prefer a definition of leadership that includes being collaborative, listening to and supporting others, and improving society. This more expansive leadership style is better for girls and for all of us. I hold up. Not for all of us. If it's better for all of us, why aren't we seeing the benefits of it yet? Being collaborative, listening to and supporting others, and improving society, yeah, good goals to have. But as I said in the beginning, girls don't identify with hypermasculine view of leadership because they want to be the man. This is why we are launching Lean In Girls. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I don't care about that. What was I gonna say? Yeah, if you talk about we need a clear path for girls to lead, look at the women that's that these women idolize now. Look at somebody like Meg Thee Stallion, Glorilla, fucking like Nicki Minaj, Sexy Red. These are the type of people to be like, oh my God, I like her so much. She's so this and she's so classy and she's so rah. Yeah. This bitch got a song talking about my coochie pink and my booty hole brown. That's the song. Those are the lyrics. So like, why shouldn't she clear a path for girls to lead? Why aren't you talking to her? Why aren't you talking to Cardi B with this wet ass pussy? Why ain't you talking to them? We was just talking about how girls feel like they're only valuable as much as they look. Maybe that's fucking why. If they don't have no wet ass pussy, then your ass don't exist. And I don't know if you know how vaginas work, but newsflash, like damn near all of them get wet. All of them. That's what they're made to do. They get wet. Why is your fucking celebrity pussy any more valuable than any other vagina out there? Oh, yeah, because it's full of BBL injects and all kind of other shit. All this fake ass makeup and all this shit. This is the arena you've created for yourself because this is the type of shit y'all idolize and fucking and want so much. It's not about men telling you can't do this. Men are saying, hey, if you go out, you might not want to wear that dress to show off your ass crack and that only cover up your nipples. Don't tell me what to wear. I can wear whatever I want. Women are rebellious and they don't want to relinquish themselves to any form of authority whatsoever. Whether it be men, whether it be the law, whether it be other women. Y'all motherfuckers be friends but you want to talk about gender pay gaps and shit. Let's talk about motherfucking Lil' Kim or all these bitches out here. Get that bread, get that head, then leave. Huh. Come on, man. We need to be honest about the sexism, over-sexualization, racism, and other forms of discrimination girls are up against. That means exposing the biased message and unfair systems around us. When girls are judged for how they look or what they're wearing, it diminishes their abilities. When black girls are penalized for speaking their minds, we need to expose the toxic combination of sexism and racism behind this response. We must stand up for our girls and push for true gender equality in schools and workplaces. When girls are judged for how they look or what they're wearing, They're called Cardi B. They're called Nicki Minaj. They're called all these motherfuckers. Black girls are penalized for speaking their minds. I'm sure somebody can find an example where there are. So I'd be foolish to sit here and say that's not happening, even though I don't hear about it as much. I guess the latest example of that would be Candace Owens, but Candace Owens is fine. She's actually a wonderful role model for women. If more women strive to be like Candace Owens, we wouldn't have these motherfucking bitches around here talking about their booty hole brown like that's a startling discovery. Seriously. Girls are told they shouldn't assert themselves. Who? We need to avoid signaling that girls shouldn't assert themselves, which research shows we often do. Ask yourself the last time you corrected a boy who spoke up or energetically took the lead in the group versus the last time you implied a girl should tone it down. Ask yourself whether you stepped in, when you heard a girl get called bossy or know-it-all for having a strong point of view, and ask yourself the last time you heard these labels applied to a boy. Okay, the bossy thing, like, give or take on that. It's not often that you find bossy women that are also incompetent. Like, if you're bossy but you're competent, I think most people can deal with that flavor of bossiness. But I think you get called bossy when you want to direct traffic from the street corner. That's bossy. It's like you want to call shots, but you don't want to actually put yourself in the line of fire for shots. That's what bossy is. For having a strong point of view. Well, is your point of view right? Is it realistic? Is it like, just because you have a strong point of view, like, how is it relevant? Like, and just because it's being applied to women and not men, are we ever going to discuss why? One characteristic of leaders, male or female, is they're right a lot. They're wrong too, but they're right a lot more than they're wrong. That's why they're in charge. Because we can live with the inherent drawbacks of you being wrong sometimes. You are not perfectly clairvoyant. You're going to be wrong sometimes. But leaders are right a lot. And if you're not willing to entertain the fact that you're wrong because you think somebody's just trying to call you bossy or know-it-all or some shit, you're not even entertaining the fact that you might fucking be the problem. It's everybody else. It's systemic racism and it's sexism. All these fucking isms. How much more of this shit we got going on here? What is it? Trad wife? Yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah. When girls lead with empathy, standing up for a friend, stereotypical gender norms. Yeah. The language they use to describe people. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. See, this is a feelings piece. Like, it's not even opinion. This is like feelings. What we say matters. What we do matters more. These steps may seem small, but they can help fundamentally shift the way girls see themselves and their future possibilities. The world desperately needs more talented, empathetic leaders, and it's on us. Blah blah blah. No, what the world needs less of is all this so-called empowerment from female promiscuity. There has never been a civilization in the history of the world that has glorified female promiscuity until the recent Western world. They'll sexualize kids. They'll sexualize anything. Every time I see a picture of Cardi B, it's like I can see some legs, I can see some ass. You got these 17-inch nails and this BDSM kind of bondage gear on. You got your ass out. I was just thinking this shit the other day. It's like, man, do I even really want a pretty girl? I don't think I want no pretty girlfriend, man. I don't want no Ugg mug. Don't get me wrong. Like, bitch, you can't be... I don't give a fuck how nice, compassionate, and empathetic you are. There are objective beauty standards, and I don't want no fat, crustaceous, ugly-looking, filthy-minded physically. If your mental's filthy, if your physical is filthy, I don't want any part of that. You can be pretty and still be ugly to me. You be ugly up here. This is a part of you. Like, if I was just like motherfuckers, look at that little dump motherfucker standing there with this posture, with his neck out. I'm on drugs. I'm high as fuck, girl. I get money. Yeah, you get money, but like bitches ain't attracted to this up here. You look like some kind of lizard with a vertebrae. Like you a weird, strange looking character. You look cartoonish. And that's what make you ugly. You ugly already, nigga. But like this shit up here kind of takes the cake. That seals the deal. Same thing with women. You know? I don't want no pretty bitch. All these problems and shit. Wanting to still go out and wear these tight ass dresses with no panties and shit just so you can get from attention from other niggas that ain't me. If that's what you want, more power to you. But if that's what you want, why do you want that? Look at the fucking female role models we got in Western society. Quit trying to blame men exclusively like we the biggest reason of that shit. This the arena y'all created. Play in it. Shut the fuck up. Nobody want to hear all this crying and shit about why girls are so misguided. It's because you misguided them. That's why. End of that. All right. It just dawned on me. Let me take the glasses off. I haven't done this in a while. I actually used to do this shit in all my episodes, but I stopped doing it maybe like 40, 50 episodes ago. But if you made it this far, for whatever reason, like, for one, you're insane. You are insane if you listen this far. Something is wrong with you. I recommend as soon as this episode is all over, you schedule an appointment with your psychiatrist, your therapist, whatever kind of can prescribe you antidepressants because you're going to need them. But I'm also proud of you because you weren't supposed to make it this far. I've been trying this whole episode to inflame you, get you in your feelings, troll you, and piss you the fuck off in the hopes that you hate this shit and never want to see it again. But you persevered. You hung in there. You stuck through that shit. And now, you and me get to enjoy the benefit of this final segment. So give yourself a pat on the back. Round of applause. You a fucking soldier. You a trooper. Now stop looking at my fucking eyes. Jesus Christ, these fucking people. All right. One of my favorite dead horses to beat, courtesy of Reuters. Olympics IOC transgender framework goes against science, says academic paper. Well, I guess it would spoil the fun if we knew what whatever the IOC of the Olympics. I read it. I don't remember what IOC stands for. Some type of international Olympic committee or something like that. But yeah, like it took an academic paper to get you to reach the conclusion that men and women should be separated in athletics. Well, thank God. I'm glad something got us there because it seemed like common sense wasn't working. So now that I'm not a big fan of new studies or all this type of shit or whatever, but when it comes to the reason why men and women should play in different sports, yeah, my dick gets hard for those kind of articles and shit because it makes sense and it's what the fuck we need. I get raging erections when I hear people standing up to this stupid shit. That's why I don't go to protests because I'd just be standing there with a stiffy the whole time and it would be distracting. That shit would eventually just bulge through my pants and I'd be sitting there embarrassed and I'd become a spectacle because everybody's now staring at my exposed penis because I cannot help how aroused I get when people speak out against trans women in sports. It shouldn't happen. But I get off to that shit. Like, for real. Like, if I was in this room by myself, I would fire one right on the camera for you. And then charge you $5.99 a month. And then I could retire. I could retire by the end of the year. Anyway, man. Olympics IOC transgender framework goes against science. So, like, what the fuck is the transgender framework? I'm getting all kind of noties. What is this shit? I don't know. Please be honest. I have no. Oh yeah, this is that bullshit. Okay. Yeah. Olympics IOC framework. So, transgender framework. What the fuck is that? Transgender framework. It almost sounds like a term you would have to know if you was going to school to be a mechanic or some shit. Like, all right, guys. So when it comes down to the when it comes down to the suspension of the car, you got to make sure the transgender framework is in place. You got to make sure it's solid. Like the transgender framework. It's like calling a janitor a fucking maintenance technician, or calling him like an expert, a consultant, a cleanliness consultant, a hygiene professional. Like transgender framework. A group of 26 academics have challenged the International Olympic Committee's framework on the inclusion of transgender athletes in sport, saying it does not protect fairness for women nor align with scientific or medical evidence. A group of 26 academics figured this shit out, huh? So it took 26 of y'all to figure this shit out. You know how many it should take? 0. You should know this shit already. The paper, published this week in the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science and Sports, said decisions on eligibility for female competition must consider male development rather than testosterone levels. So essentially, everything we've all been saying, everybody who's against this shit has been saying that. Like, it's not, I mean, like I said, beating a dead horse. Let's just not say Brock Lesnar this time. Let's just say somebody like fuck. Do you think Hulk Hogan, what about like Triple H or some shit like that? You think The Rock could just lower his testosterone levels and then like all these women now suddenly look like, you remember how when Tiger Woods was at his peak in golf, like he had a psychological advantage over these other golfers. Like they didn't believe they could beat him. Then he got caught up in that cheating scandal and that shit just went away. I mean, granted, he was injured and all that shit, but like that was a big part in people believing they could win. Like, you know, but that's not how this works. Like, you cannot just believe, oh, well, now that your testosterone levels, now I have a chance. Now that your testosterone's lower. Like, no. Doesn't fucking mean anything. Maybe if you was already like a 140-pound guy, you like a $130, $140, then you reduce your testosterone levels. Yeah, maybe like a Dylan Mulvaney, you reduce his testosterone levels. I'm sure there's plenty of women out there that would shit on him. It's something simple like table tennis. They would have this motherfucker, he'd be like, he wouldn't even be able to serve. Like his serve would bounce twice on his side of the table with his full strength. And I'm sure like a fucking high school girl could do better than that. A middle schooler, a prepubescent female could beat Dylan Mulvaney in any physical activity. Yeah, it's definitely the male development and not the testosterone levels. Because like once you've gone through that development, you've morphed into something that's physically superior to the end result of what a female morphs into when she's done with puberty. It's not about hormone levels. It's about biology. We urge the IOC to reevaluate the recommendations of their framework to include a comprehensive understanding of the biological advantages of male development to ensure fairness and safety in female sports. So we urge the IOC to go back to what the fuck it was before all this shit happened, because this was never a problem we used to have. Quote, sports face the uncomfortable reality that the inclusion of transgender women in female sports categories cannot be reconciled with fairness and in some instances safety for females in athletic sports. The IOC framework on fairness, inclusion, non-discrimination on the basis of gender identity and sex variations is a document produced to guide international sports federations when establishing their own rules. The IOC did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Global governing bodies for cricket, cycling, athletics. So, wouldn't cricket, cycling, swimming, wouldn't those be considered athletics? I don't know. Just as a layman, like, what the fuck counts as athletics? If it's not cricket, cycling, swimming, I can understand chess not being athletics, but I already covered chess 40 episodes ago. They've tightened their eligibility for elite women's competitions over the last couple of years. Why are they doing this? Like, if they made the switch and they have evidence that men and women can physically compete on the same level without any kind of threat to the integrity of the sport, of the field or whatever, if we've already established that, why are you dialing back a couple years in? Like, I know you all heard the adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So why are you fixing it if it's not fucking broke? Maybe it's broke. I don't know, something to think about, something to consider. Like, this shit's not working out. Like, women don't feel comfortable. And you've got motherfuckers like Lady Gaga, an actual woman who claim they don't speak for the trans community, but will promote Dylan Mulvaney and put him on her vision board or whatever the fuck. What's the point of the dial back if there's nothing wrong with it? We got a little video right here. New York City School District looking to ban transgender athletes. Let's check that out.
All right, it's about 6:07 here on Thursday, and Manhattan's largest school board district passed a resolution that could eventually stop transgender girls from playing on female sports teams in New York City.
Now a committee will be formed to review the impact this would have. Let's get right to Good Day's Lizette Nunez. She is tracking that story. She has the latest on last night's contentious meeting where tempers were flaring for sure. Lizette.
Good morning, Dan and Tashani. This national debate has now arrived in New York City. The meeting included parents, teachers, and city council members. The resolution that was passed will not change anything immediately, but it does raise questions on who will be allowed to play in sports at New York City public schools.
As a parent, I'm frankly disappointed that adults in positions of power are capitalizing on a lack of understanding to try to push debates and policies rooted in discrimination.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's a guy? That's a fucking dude that sounds like that? What was that? I just wanted to say it as a parent. Like, who let you... You a parent? I mean, I know that's bold. Like, you a guy, like, just because you sound like a bitch doesn't mean you couldn't be a parent. But, like, you sound like a bitch. Like, what's up with this? What?
A contentious debate unfolding as the Manhattan School District votes in favor of a measure that could lead to a ban on transgender athletes from participating in girls' sports.
There are considerable physical safety concerns. They should be investigated thoroughly to ensure we are never putting our female athletes at undue risk.
In an 8-3 vote, Community Education Council District 2, which serves the Lower East Side to the Upper East Side, voted to review a policy that allows transgender girls to play in female sports. Since 2019, students have been allowed to play in sports in accordance with a student's gender identity and not their biological sex. The resolution calls for a committee to be created that would review current gender guidelines and make recommendations to New York City's Department of Education.
Obviously, we want to consult female athletes, we want to consult coaches, but we also want to consult doctors. We want to consult evolutionary biology.
Consult doctors for what? You want to consult doctors so they can corroborate this false narrative that men and women's sports is like a safe thing, it's okay to do? What do you need to talk to doctors about this shit for? Like, you don't need to talk to doctors about this. You don't need a doctor to lie to you and be like, oh yeah, well, if a man has been clinically diagnosed with gender dysphoria and meets all the standards and has been on a testosterone diet for the past 2 years or whatever, it's safe to inject this man into the female athletic space. You don't need doctors for that. That's like saying you need a doctor to tell you that you have a cold. If you wake up and you full of mucus and you can't breathe and you coughing up yellow and green shit, you don't need a doctor to diagnose you. You know something's not right. Something's fucked up here. Why do you need to consult doctors about whether men should be in women's spaces? So you can have some credentialized hack come up here and say, oh, well, I've got this PhD, I've got that PhD, and I say it's okay. You never want to discriminate again, blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up, you goddamn lunatics.
Experts. We want to consult with people who understand the physiology behind the issues.
New York City Council member Eric Botcher condemned the resolution.
Discrimination has no place in our schools, our city, and our state, and we're proud that New York is a legal safe haven for transgender young people and their families.
He's proud that New York City is a safe haven for deranged, confused men to rob and steal the safety, peace of mind, and athletic opportunities of women. That's what he's proud of. So whoever that guy is, fuck that guy. Talk about non-discrimination. What do you mean? So if not letting trans women in sports is discriminatory, how is men and women's sports not discriminatory? You're discriminating. If you have an athletic league comprised of men only, you are discriminating against females, but for a good reason. You know? That's like if two people come into the hospital, one of them's got a paper cut and the other one's bleeding from the asshole because they just got shot in it. And you'd be like, I understand, sir, you're bleeding from the asshole and you've got a bullet stuck in there, but this young lady has a paper cut and we need to get her up to triage right away. What? What? No.
Latest resolution is part of a national debate that has ignited over transgender athletes. This week, Olympic gold medalist Caitlyn Jenner showed support after Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman banned female sports teams with transgender athletes from using county facilities.
And I covered that story. I covered the story where Nassau County said, look, if you're going to be a female athletic club and you're going to have transgender women, men on this team, you guys can't use these facilities. It's a done deal. It's a wrap for that shit. They even had fucking Caitlyn Jenner endorse that shit. Like, how more on the nose do you need it? This motherfucker says, I haven't been on testosterone in 8 years and I can still drive the ball 100 yards further than these women. And that's him living his life as a woman. Like, how more grotesque of an example do you need? Seriously. They act like they got to consult all these fucking people to make sure. How about you consult women? How about that? You dumb fucks. How about you just ask women? I mean, it's not complex. It's not complex at all. He talking about all these nuances and all this accreditation you need from all these experts or whoever the fuck you want to dub these people. Like, that's all horse shit. Every last bit of it.
The New York Civil Liberties Union is suing, saying the policy violates state civil and human rights laws.
New York City Schools Chancellor David Banks has already strongly opposed bans that would prohibit transgender athletes from playing sports. Last month, he stated that every student can participate in sports and competitive athletics in accordance with their gender identity. Dan and Tashani.
In accordance with their gender identity. It's said for what it is, in accordance with their delusion. You are affirming the delusions of confused individuals at the risk and opportunity of everybody's daughters, niece, all that shit. Mothers, all that shit. You don't even want to call women mothers anymore. You're talking about pregnant people. The fuck? Because there are some instances where men can become pregnant. I can tell you, don't worry, I've done all the research. I can tell you all the instances in which a man can become pregnant. Are you ready? Get a pen, get something to write with. I had a writing utensil up here somewhere. It's gone. Anyway, I can remember. I've got this committed to memory. Okay, here are all the situations in which that's okay. None. Continue, wrap this up. Other sports at the international and national level allow transgender athletes to compete in women's sport if they can show reduced levels of testosterone, which we've discussed in the beginning is an incorrect metric to measure this shit by. The paper said the framework's instruction that federations make no presumption of advantage, quote, due to an athlete's transgender status ignores the permanent advantage held by anyone who has been through male puberty. Studies show that transgender women with suppressed testosterone retain muscle mass, strength, and other physical advantages compared to female. Male performance advantage cannot be eliminated with testosterone suppression. Failing to acknowledge male category level advantage or arguing it is simply a presumption undermines the purpose of segregated sex categories in sports. American Leah Thomas, the fraudulent swimmer who jumped in and tied with Riley Gaines, but she had to surrender the trophy because Leah's trans. It's challenging the exclusion of transgender swimmers for women's events by taking World Aquatics to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, alleging that the rules introduced in 2022 amount to discrimination. The academics, who include sports scientists and biologists from around the world, also call for women to be recognized as key stakeholders in the decision-making process on the inclusion in sport. The IOC framework mentions only consultations, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. As I've said a million times, it's fucking stupid. There's no amount of articles or professionals or experts that are going to change it up. Transgender framework. Bullshit. If you're going to have trans women in sports, you're basically creating a secondary league for men who dress up as women to play against other men who dress up against women. It's going to ultimately exclude women. So there is no middle ground. It's men's and women's or there's nothing. Flat out. And if you don't agree with that, something's wrong with you. You're fucked up. You're stupid. Who gives a fuck what you think? Fuck off. You're a part of the problem if you think that. Yo, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next time, you know it. I'll holler at you.